Richter recognized that the way to build a proposition in supporting clients was to appreciate where they were in that life cycle, and also understanding that both the business and the family have complexities that need to be supported from a structural thinking standpoint, that we have a responsibility to step back, look at the problems that the clients are experiencing.
In 2026, the old way of siloed advice, where your accountant, lawyer, and wealth manager never speak, is actually eroding your net worth.
The call out I would make is feel it, don't avoid it, and start having the dialogue. If it's on your mind, let it out and start focusing on it.
Hello, everyone. This is Kripa Anand, and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast. Today, we are exploring the structural secrets behind institutions that don't just survive for a century, they thrive. In 2026, the landscape for Canadian business owners is increasingly complex, and the old way of siloed advice, where your accountant, lawyer, and wealth manager never speak, is actually eroding your net worth. Joining us today is Bill McLean, partner at Richter. With over 30 years of experience as a family enterprise advisor and executive coach, Bill helps Canada's most successful families chart a clear path to sustainable success. Richter is currently celebrating its 100th anniversary as a privately held, partner led firm. And today we are diving into why business family office integration is the only way to safeguard your legacy. So, before further ado, let's welcome the special guest. Bill, it's such a pleasure to have you here in the podcast.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Now, Bill, Richter is celebrating 100 years, and you've championed the business family office model as the standard for successful families. So, firstly, a huge congratulations.
Thank you.
And please go ahead and explain to our listeners what sets a true business family office apart from a traditional accounting or wealth firm.
Great. So we've heard the reference to family office for many years now. And in the space of family office operations, there can be quite a wide range of the definition of really what a family office is. For Richter, over the 100-year evolution of its history, there was a conclusion that as entrepreneurs move through their life cycle, and if you stop and think about it, you start in building a business, and that's a very different set of focus areas. As time goes by, assuming there's been success, that business begins to diversify.
Yeah.
Whether you broaden the business, you move into new markets, anything, but the business and the interests begin to diversify. That also is happening for the entrepreneur and for the family at the time. Well, eventually for many, it then becomes a period of significant wealth accumulation. And then one day you move into the possibility of a transition or a succession or a business sale. So Richter recognized that the way to build a proposition in supporting clients was to appreciate where they were in that life cycle, and also understanding that both the business and the family have complexities that need to be supported. So over time, the evolution of creating a business family office where we could support the interests of the client's business, but also at the same time support what was personal to them from a family perspective, was the right way to go.
Very interesting. When, business strategy, family dynamics, and capital decisions are finally aligned, you stop the silent value leaks, right? That plagues so many successful enterprises. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now let's explore how fragmented advisory relationships create risk and why a unified strategy is essential for growth. Now, Bill, from your extensive experience, please go ahead and share what risks arise when businesses, they keep their, business and personal wealth strategies totally separate.
So, one of the greatest standouts about entrepreneurial individuals, entrepreneurial families, is the way in which they commit themselves to what they're building. They commit themselves to their employees. They commit themselves to the communities that they choose to operate in. It's highly personal from that standpoint. And it's one of the secret sauces of why so many entrepreneurs do so incredibly well. At the same time, while that energy is going into the business, there are also considerations for the family. As I said previously, as wealth amasses and the complexities of that start to grow, there are some highly personal considerations related to that as well. We have strongly believed through all the years of our existence, most recently in this last 10 to 20 years, the intersect point between those business interests and those personal and family interests is really where there's risk for there to be challenges, be that communication, lack of shared priorities, uncertainty about what direction to take. So we have believed and worked with many of our clients in order to address the full needs that they have. We need to appreciate that there's business and business wealth considerations, and then there's highly personal family and individual or family-based considerations. So we believe in being able to and being equipped to be able to approach that with families and with business owners. That is the right way to be end-to-end supportive to what their needs are.
Very well articulated. Definitely, a disconnected advisory team creates a very fragmented roadmap, which is exactly how wealth and business momentum, slip through the cracks. Now, uh, great to know that. Bill, let's now discuss how Richter's century long legacy is built on intentional evolution and not just luck by chance. So, how can owners apply structural thinking to build long term business longevity? To the entrepreneurs watching, in 2026, if you want your business to exist in 2076, you have to stop managing by crisis and start managing by structure. Every business owner knows how to hustle, but few know how to institutionalize. If your business relies solely on your personal presence, you don't have an institution, you have a job. Build the governance, build the alignment, and design your transition plan today. Because a century of success is never an accident, it's the result of disciplined, intentional structure.
Structural thinking is a concept some are familiar with and some are not. And maybe I'll just take a moment to explain our perspective on this. The whole idea of structural thinking in our business and how we have approached supporting our clients is recognizing that you have to resist the urge to simply say, we're going to offer something because that's the flavor of the day. Or you've heard a buzzword or a concept, therefore you should offer something to the client from that standpoint. We believe from a structural thinking standpoint that we have a responsibility to step back, look at the problems and the challenges that the clients are experiencing, dig deeper into it and understand what the drivers of those problems are, and then in an analytical and a focused, planned way, build the proposition in such a way that you can actually address the core root challenge that they're experiencing. That's really structural thinking to say, rather than very quickly develop and deliver solutions,
Yeah.
focus in on the root cause of what's happening and build the solution from the ground up. That's the evolution of what Richter undertook in creating the business family office offering to the market.
Makes a lot of sense. Structure is the difference between a business that retires when you do and a business that creates a multi generational legacy. So that's great to know, Bill. We're going to take a quick break right here, but don't go anywhere because when we come back, we'll explore how Richter is bringing wealth management into the digital age.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. You still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep. Healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah. Well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep. That's all us. That's all UPS.
Welcome back, guys. Let's dive into how Richter Guardian is redefining digital identity and infrastructure for modern wealth protection. Now, let's look at how Richter Guardian marks your move into digital wealth solutions. Why is digital identity and infrastructure now essential to this concept of wealth management?
It is almost, we are at a point now where it's an absolute requirement as opposed to something that might be nice to have. We are living in an amazing world right now where technology and the digitization of our lives has reached such a point that there are also a great many threats that exist to ourselves, individuals, to our clients. When you look at the ability for developing deep fakes, photos, pictures, audio, engagement strategies, there is great risk out there right now that people can be taken advantage of. I know very few people that haven't been a victim of some kind of fraudulent activity at this point in time. We recognize as an organization that we had a fundamental responsibility to our clients because they are business leaders. They are wealth leaders in the marketplace. We had a responsibility to ensure that we had a developed approach that we could assist them in assessing what level of risk they have potentially to being attacked or taken advantage of, and what is the best tool set to put in place in order to further protect them from those types of attacks. So Richter Guardian has been our overall developed solution to engage and understand and support our clients in protecting themselves for the risks that are out there in the marketplace.
Recognizing that digital privacy is now a critical component of personal wealth protection proves how proactive your firm is in the face of modern threats. That's great to know. Finally, let's examine how preparing for the inevitable transitions ensure long term continuity for families and businesses alike. Bill, what commonly blocks alignment between a business board and family vision? Because I'm sure there must be a very thin line between the two of them.
I think I'll go back to a comment that I made about how deeply personal business is for these individuals and for these families. It is woven right into their DNA to be those types of builders and those types of contributors. So often, as a business is going through its iterations, and for example, maybe you have gotten to a point where you'll have more third-party leadership, or you'll have a board who are third-party independent contributors to your business. It is critically important for that board to understand what are the cultural and the value drivers of the owners. Everything that built that history and that success for that business, it's so important for boards to be able to understand that so that they can reflect that in the approach that they take. It's not taking away from the competence that they bring to the table, but it's understanding how they can augment that and how they can further contribute to that. So when that's well in place, when there's good clarity of understanding about the owners, what they continue to stand for, what matters to them in how the business is undertaken, and the boards who are supporting that are able to reflect that, it's a beautiful fluid thing that exists between the two.
Facilitating that alignment through honest communication is the key to ensuring that transition becomes a pivot point rather than a crisis. Now, Bill, imagine if I were to give you a time machine right now and say we were to travel 5 or 10 years into the future. When we get out of that time machine, how exactly do you envision Richter evolving?
We see that we have a fundamental responsibility to continue moving with the clients in the pace that the clients are moving. So we all know how fast the world is moving, but we have a grounding foundational principle as the really only true business family office in the country that we will continue to move and adapt to both the needs of the clients from a business perspective and the needs of the individual and the family at the same time. Because back to my point, that intersection point is where they come together. So we believe fundamentally in the formula that we have established over this entire 100-year period. And we're going to keep seeing this through because we are seeing how applicable it is to addressing the most important problems that the clients are experiencing.
You've painted quite a picture there. The future definitely looks very promising. I'm loving this conversation, and definitely I'm going to invite you one more time where we can dive into such deeper conversations. But Bill, before we let you go for now, what's your final top advice for owners concerned about long-term succession?
I think the main call out would be, if it's on your mind, engage in it. The sometimes matters pertaining to succession and transition, it can be very easy to choose to avoid them because of the busyness of running, building, and navigating a business environment. For many, it can be a deep contemplation. It can invoke emotions that individuals might not be fully prepared to embrace. So I think the call out I would make is feel it, don't avoid it, and start having the dialogue. If it's on your mind, let it out and start focusing on it.
That's, 100% candid and real advice. That's a great reminder that the best time to plan for succession is long before you feel ready for it.
Exactly.
Bill, it has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here and doing this with us.
Thank you very much.
All right, that was Bill McLean from Richter, a masterclass in why integrated advisory and discipline structure are the true pillars of long-term business success. To all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and visit CanadianSME.ca for more resources. And lastly, a very special thank you to our podcast partners, UPS, Google, and ADP, for their ongoing commitment to empowering small businesses across Canada. See you guys in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.